Surf's up, guys? It's Mauisnake, and we just witnessed the play-ins of Cologne. And we saw some pretty bad upsets. Where the hell is Team Liquid? What's going on over there, guys? I'm sure they're going to figure it out. I'm sure that integrating Yakindar to the lineup is, as an in-game leader, is probably one of the most difficult things you could be doing if you're Daps. You're probably watching from the sideline, just cringing all the time, wondering, why did we let this guy call and not me? But either way, Liquid are not the main story for this one. We're going to get into the picks. Once again, this is a video brought to you by Pickstop. Be sure to sign up on their website, pickstop.gg/CSGO. The link will be in the description below. You can join my league, by the way, which did exceed 700 people in it. Obviously, at this point, you're not going to win if you didn't play the play-in, but still a good time to get in, just so you could at least kind of like measure yourself versus the rest of the competition in terms of how you're going to perform in this stage, and put your money where your mouth is in terms of your picks. And in a lot of ways, I'm just going to bring up kind of like what's exciting about this Pickstop thing is that I think so many people would literally want to put where their money where their mouth is, but I actually legitimately just find doing picks and trying to stick with those picks through the entirety of the event pretty fun, where I'm not putting money on the line. I'm not legally allowed to do that because as someone with insider information working these events, I can't just bet day by day, because if I find something out the day of, I'll find out usually before the general public, which could influence betting odds. Also, it's just kind of like a conflict of interest because in some ways I can affect games. Like theoretically, I could buy Cadian 7 shots tonight at the bar, and that would influence the whole game. So I'm too close to it, is really the main thing there. So let's get into this. All right. So starting off, I did not buy Cadian 7 shots tonight, and I have no idea about the Mongols in terms of their consumption of any substances. So, but either way, I think this is to get back on track. This is heroic all day for me. This is in fact a BO3 once you get into the group stage of Cologne. And even though the Mongols actually were pretty exciting, we can talk about them more a little bit later. I think Heroic is just by far the most consistent team, and they should be a team looking to win this event nearly flawlessly. Monty versus Gamer Legion. I'm going to be going with Monty. Gamer Legion, it's just unfortunate they lost their 2 most impactful players in Ima and Shuhei, and that's just really that's just how the cookie crumbles, isn't it? If you do really well as a small organization at the major, you're not likely to keep your best players because they're going to get poached, as they did. And Monty, even though I kind of wrote Monty off a little bit. I think that they had, in some ways, one of the worst off seasons. I think Gamer Legion actually can one-up them. I said Monty had the worst off season of the teams in the play-in, but the Gamer Legion actually probably had the worst off season in terms of everybody that was in the top 15. So this is Monty. Cloud9 Fnatic, even though we know that Buster will be slotting in for Axile, I am hearing that Cloud9 are scrim demons. They have been demolishing everybody, that everybody is totally confident, and to me that means that the little bit of adjustment period that we would have said, yeah, we could maybe give C9 a little bit of slack here because they haven't played under an IGL like Electronic before. Maybe we don't. Maybe they're just going to start hot out the gates, and I think that they will. So I'm going to be picking C9. I will be picking ENCE over 9. Even though 9 just took down Liquid, I think that ENCE are going to be coming into this with a lot of vigor, given that Snappy wants to show the world once again that it is a mistake that Blast is a closed circuit in terms of their partnerships and franchising, and he wants to show once again a non-Blast partner team can go deep at this. And so let's move through the uppers here. Heroic, obviously, over Monty. Not going to get into that one. We got a lot to go into. Cloud9 versus ENCE is pretty tricky. I think that this is a game that could really go either way. I'd actually pretty much amount this to 50-50, where I would pick Cloud9 over ENCE is that I think Cloud9's player quality is a bit higher, although I think the way that the team will function for ENCE will be a little bit better. And over the course of a BO3, this is going to be a really close affair. I would not doubt that it goes to 3 maps. And I'm actually going to slightly go with Cloud9, even though I think that Buster might be a bit of a liability. But I think that the player quality, like Shiro is just the best player on the server by a significant margin. And this is probably the closest 50-50. So like it's one of those like whoever you're picking here though, you're kind of to me just by the way that you should kind of go through pick stop logic or just the way you should work through a bracket like this, you should just pick the other team pretty much because I don't even know if C9 necessarily is gonna be that team. And so going into the lowers here, I'm gonna be picking Mongols Gamer Legion's pretty tough actually. I didn't realize how tough this one would be. I'm going to go with Mongols. I actually think that what they showed against Furia was good enough that it could beat Gamer Legion, which is a team that probably is still finding themselves and their identity, given that they're going to have to be integrating Nealon, and I don't know if he knows how he wants to call around these guys. And I think what made Gamer Legion good was just kind of how good Ima and Shuhei were together, and I think that they're going to lose a huge step trying to make it work with other players. So Fnatic 9... I'll go with Fnatic here. I just think that 9 might be the tactically stronger team here, but Fnatic's player quality is significantly higher on LAN. 9 to me has unfortunately shown that on LAN, their players just drop off a bit, where online they're super active. They always seem like they know what they want to do next. But on LAN, I think they are a little bit less certain of themselves, whereas Fnatic is a team that is pretty LAN proven at this point. And I could look at basically anybody on this roster except for Afro and say that they've shown me on LAN that they can get it done, including Dexter, who I don't really have a target on, by the way. Like, I'll get into it here with this Monty versus Fnatic game. I'm going to be picking Fnatic here, but I don't want to get it skewed. Like, I'm not trying to, again, like, find another IGL enemy. Like, even though I obviously have shown, I've differentiated and just kind of used isolated variables to show that Shuhei is the op whisperer, whereas Dexter might be someone who's a little bit worse when playing with oppers, or like he doesn't know how to get the most out of him. I don't have it out for Dexter, guys. I don't have a target on Fnatic right now where I'm like, get Dexter out of this team. I thought the calling from Fnatic was better last year than it was from Maus. It's just that the player quality was higher on Maus, so it was able to elevate them, like Frozen, Exertion. They were better to me than anybody that was on Fnatic, and so it was to me like Mezzi's calling was what was making Fnatic as good as it was, or at least the style of the team, whether that's the input from people like Kita and Roy on top of Mezzi. I just thought that I don't have anything out for Dexter, guys. That's all I'm trying to say right now. I think that it's cool to see that Mezzi's popping off even more because he doesn't have to IGL anymore. And sometimes it's so awkward when people come back from in-game leading where they obviously are like looking at their radar too much. They're considering the macro implications of everything that they're doing. And to me, Mezzi just came back and he's like, okay, you're good again. You can be a star player. So on the other side of the bracket, Ents Mongols. This is Ents all day. And between Ents and Fnatic, I will be going with Ents. Let's move on to the other side of the bracket here. Vitality, OG. This is Vitality. OG, to me, overperformed, beating Apex. I think that they are a team that in some ways we're going to have to be careful of, but I don't think we actually have to watch out for. Maus, Navi. This is, to me, there's some pretty close ones actually on this Group B. And Maus Navi is one of them because I think that there's a lot of reasons where Maus could win this. Jimpat has not found himself on this roster. Torzi is overperforming, but if there's one player in the world that's going to shut you down if you're just kind of like a streaky opper right now, who's going to put you in your place better than Simple? So I'm going to be picking Navi in this one. I also think that this team is having a weird sort of honeymoon where Simple is clearly an emotional person, but it seems like he's been pretty excited and happy to be playing with JL and Alexi B. So I think that this Navi team is going to win. G2 versus Strawless. This is another really tough one. I will be going actually with G2. It doesn't like Astralis. I would say Astralis is playing better Counter-Strike than G2 based off of what I've seen at the Blast groups, and but the players are just so much better for G2 that I almost felt like they just weren't all there completely, other than Nico. Like, Monacy had one really good game at the Blast groups, but he was a little bit streaky. I think that Device actually has the edge in this. I think that Device and BlameF versus, say, Monacy and Nico, as of recently, I actually think, this is crazy, but I actually think I'm going to be picking BlameF and Device. It's just kind of the supporting cast. Hooksy is worse than anybody on Astralis. I'm going to actually go through it all now. Hooksy is worse than anybody on Astralis. I'll say that Stare and Buzz are also probably worse than their counterparts in JKS and Hunter by a significant margin. But the calling from BlameF is better than Hooksy's calling right now. Like, if I could have any idea, if G2 could actually poach BlameF, this team would be insane. Role-wise would be just a tad bit tricky because JKS and BlameF have shown that they are a little awkward when they play together because both of them want to be end-round players. But with the fact that BlameF's kind of taking up the entry duties a lot of the time, Astralis has become very exciting. And G2, I think I said I wanted to pick them, but no, I'm actually going to switch. No, I'm going to go with Astralis. I've actually convinced myself here. I actually wrote down that I wanted to pick G2, but now the more I think about it, Astralis is just playing the better overall Counter-Strike as a team. And the player quality isn't that much worse. It is a little bit worse, but Hooksy's the worst player on the server, and Device and BlameF might be, they're pretty much tied with m0NESY and Nico. Actually, I'd say Device is better than m0NESY. So best opera in the server is Device. NIP FaZe, I'm going to be going with FaZe. NIP just barely squeaked out that win versus Imperial, and I do think that they're going to be losing to G2. Even though I actually like where this NIP team is headed, I think they're trending upwards versus when they were playing with Alexi B, where to me it was just kind of a slog to watch them. And OG Maus, I'm going to be going with Maus pretty easily in that. Now, upper bracket, Vitality, Na'Vi. Vitality just, the bones are too stable with this team, whereas Na'Vi's still trying to find their identity in some ways. And Astralis versus FaZe, I'm going to be going with FaZe. I actually think FaZe is going to be winning this group. I just liked what they did in the Blast group so much so that it felt like they came in with a renewed sense of purpose, like they coming into the season recognizing that Counter-Strike is, CSGO for that matter, is ending. And to me, it really feels like there's one more trophy you could find to stack that cabinet. And to me, I feel like FaZe recognized that completely, whereas Vitality, I wouldn't say it's as big of a major hangover anymore, but I do think that they probably took their time on their break a little bit more than FaZe, and I just think that FaZe right now are they look really good. They actually look like they're playing better team CS than I'm used to, whereas at the end of last season, it felt like they were running on fumes, and a lot of the games that they would play, just like late round moments, like a lot of people lose discipline, a lot of individual plays, like they run out of their playbook. And I think that their playbook is renewed. I think they went back to the drawing board. I think Kerrigan brought some new stuff to the table, and I think it's going to be enough to actually elevate them over Vitality. Could go either way. That's kind of one of the tougher picks here, but yeah, I'll be picking FaZe. Astralis versus Maus. This is another really tough one. I really do want to pick Maus, but I think Jimpat's the worst player in the server for me right now. I think Torzy had too much of a hot streak there for Maus in the beginning, and they barely beat the Mongols even when Torzy dropped 50 kills. I'm going to make the same joke again. Like, he went Oppenheimer in the server dropping a nuke on them. And Astralis, I'm going to go with them. Yeah, I think that I think the best two riflers in the server are Frozen and BlameF, but I think the best opper by a significant margin is Device. And I think that the calling is, maybe I'd slightly edge it to Maus, but this is tough, man, actually. Ooh, it's really tough. It's really tough. No, I'll stick with Astralis just because I don't want to go back on that one. And Na'Vi G2, yeah, I'll be going with Na'Vi. I don't know. G2 just seem like they just don't have it together still. And between these two teams, another really tough one, but I'm going to go with Na'Vi. I think that the land pressure actually will get to some of the players on Astralis who are a little bit less blooded, say Borup, and I'm saying Borup, not Boros this time, and that was a mistake, obviously, on the last video, but yeah, I'll go with Na'Vi in this one. FaZe, Vitality, Na'Vi. I just feel like that, I mean, look at that triple right there. Like, do you really think when you look at these three teams that this is a bad three teams to pick? I don't think so. There we go. That's submitted. Make sure to get your picks in, guys. You only have 11 hours. By the time this video is uploaded, yeah, it's probably still going to be 11 hours. So get it in. Join my league on Pickstop, guys. Let's try to, if we can, like, I know the tournament's already started, but even if we just get this one over 800, it's not even that far away. Like, 15 of you are going to sign up, surely. Come on. Bring it. That's going to be it, though. As always, guys, being toxic is a choice.